million. 4 million. 7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
I love selling blow!
Yourself right at home.
Luke, come on. You said you were going to try.
I'm trying. I'm trying to understand.
Oh, so you had to fall asleep on a motherfucker.
Yeah. Blame it on weather change, man. Like, my body does not adjust well when the temperature can't decide what it wants to be.
That is complete bullshit, and you know it.
No, like, seriously, it can't. Like, the worst time of year for me is when the damn weather is, like, going back and forth between hot and cold in spring and, like, fall, when it can't decide, like, what it wants to be. My sinuses go crazy, like, I just sleep like a fucking cave bear. It's awful.
You're hairy enough to be a cave bear, minus what's on top of your head.
Yeah, fair enough. A bald cave bear. Although that would be kind of an interesting
True.
picture now that I think about it.
So, something interesting happened this week. I know you saw it because I tried to get you to blog about it, which hopefully you did. The new Batman photo, Affleck as Batman. What do you think? What do you think?
I still think it's a little like it's a little the black and white doesn't help me like come to a conclusion like how much I love it or how much I hate it. But assuming that they're going with like the color scheme I think they're going with, I think it's really cool. I think it's a bold choice for the movies because the movies have lately like gone for the really realistic. It's got like a black hockey goalie outfit.
Well, yeah.
And this
He's
looks
really bulky.
This looks. Yeah.
He looks like
well,
Frank
I mean,
Miller
not all
drew
of that's
him.
Affleck, obviously.
Well,
but,
I mean,
yeah,
but he's like just in general more bulky than I anticipated.
yeah, and that's it's a Zack Snyder film, so I kind of anticipated that he's gonna go for that kind of look for his superheroes because that's how fucking Superman looked in Man of Steel.
What do you think of the Batmobile?
I mean, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not like.
I mean, we can't see much of it. It looks like a cross between like the Tumbler and
like Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batman mobiles.
Yeah, but it looks like an over-exaggerated version of realism.
Yeah,
It's
it kind of
it
looks
exist,
like
it's just overdone. Like the Tumbler, they made sense.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, this looks like it's like the Tumblr, but it's also made to like please comic booky fans, and I'm okay with that.
Man, that bitch is made to make toys. You know that.
Well, I mean, technically, you could say that anything in a comic book is like that. I think they're trying. I think they're going to try really hard to do what Marvel's doing, where Marvel's been completely unafraid to put goofy shit on the screen. Like, I mean, we're about to have a fucking movie in August with the talking space raccoon. So
yeah,
Marvel's not afraid, and I think DC has been really afraid, especially since they tried Green Lantern, and it kind of like
Well, okay, let's face it. They made Green Lantern instead of trying to stick with the source material. They were like, let's make toys, which people aren't behind anymore. If the movie's good enough, the toys will come in addition. Like, Green Lantern was specifically designed to make toys.
Here's my thing. Green Lantern wasn't bad because, like, it wasn't bad because it was a movie about a guy in space with, like, a power ring. That's not what... It wasn't that they went too far out with it. It's that they made horrible missteps in the movie itself. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, who I like, he's not Hal Jordan, for one thing. Like, the complete and utter bizarre mistreatment of Parallax as a plot device, it just... the plot itself to the movie just doesn't seem to kind of, like, make a whole lot of sense. It's just kind of... point A, point B, point C, point D, and then Sinestro puts on the ring, and like we completely robbed Mark Strong, who's like a fantastic actor, did not get nearly enough time to play Sinestro in that movie, and then like his putting on the yellow ring at the end, it just felt like a betrayal, because there was an interesting story to be told about why he put that ring on, and they just have him do it with like no explanation. It just, yeah, no, I mean, Green Lantern could have been a good movie. They had the budget. They certainly had like some really good actors in it. They just fucked up the story.
I agree, it could have been better, but I think the movie was fun, but it was also forgettable at the same time, which is a huge misstep with what that is. I mean, Green Lantern could have been a lot better. I think Ryan Reynolds is kind of like we need a muscular person that is a decent actor to play a superhero. Because, like, Ryan Reynolds has already been one of the Fantastic Four. He's been Deadpool, and he's been...
He wasn't in the Fantastic Four.
Oh, no, that was Chris Evans, my bad.
Yeah.
It's either Ryan Reynolds or, he was, Blade.
He was, fucking what's-his-face in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
He was Wade Wilson.
Yes.
Deadpool. Yeah, no, he was in R.I.P.D. Like... He's been completely overused for comic book movies. It's like, can we just scratch Ryan Reynolds off the list now?
Well, no, I mean he already fit the role that he should have been in to begin with, Deadpool. Like,
oh yeah, and I didn't even mind like if it had just been Blade Trinity, because he was perfect for that part too.
Yeah.
And Deadpool,
and that was so far apart. Like, unless you know your comic books, like you would have forgotten that the Blade movies came out. Which, those were never bad. Like, all three of those movies are pretty damn good.
I mean, the first one's kind of goofy and stupid, especially the whole, like, blood god thing shit at the end. But,
blood god thing shit
like,
at the end.
And, like, people completely hate the third one, and
the
third one is pretty bad. Like, if you think of, like, the main bad guy, as far as, like, that whole plot just doesn't even make sense, because, like, Dracula doesn't even, like, seem to want to be there. It's just like, why is he the main bad guy at the end? Because he's just kind of like, fuck it, why am I here? And, yeah, like, but the movie's money for, like, the Ryan Reynolds parts, anyway. But, yeah, no, fucking... And there's, like, Blade has so many great quotables, and I think that's something that a lot of superhero movies haven't done very well, is give their characters, like, really great quotable lines. Fucking, some motherfuckers always gotta ice skate uphill. Like, shit like that, like, I'll remember that for, like, the rest of my life. Or, like, when they're trying to break into the place, and the guy's, like, I think it's in the third one, the guy's like, I can't let you in, they'll kill me. It's like, motherfucker, I'll kill you. It's just like, you don't get that in a Batman movie, and I'm not saying like Batman should be jokey, but like there should be quotable lines.
Well, I'm personally not like a big fan of Wesley Snipes, but Wesley Snipes was perfect for Blade.
Yeah, yeah. And see that falls back to the problem I had with Green Lantern, is that casting is super important, and when you completely miscast your main character, the whole movie suffers. I like Ryan Reynolds, but he did not at all sell me on Hal Jordan in that movie. Because I felt like I was watching a combination of, you know, Van Wilder and Definitely Maybe. Like, those are the two characters he, like, combined to make his Hal Jordan, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Speaking of people in the right positions to do the right thing, did you see the new Turtles, the trailer 2 for the Turtles?
Yeah,
I'm scared.
I just watched that, so
I'm scared.
Yeah, like
that fastball special thing that they've got going on, that looks badass. I can't even begin to lie about that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna like reserve a little bit of judgment for that, because the movie trailers never have like finalized CG, or well, you know, sometimes they do probably, but
yeah,
you know, a lot of the times when you watch a trailer, the CG in it's gonna look worse than it does in the finished product because they've not put all the polish on it.
Yeah,
but the turtles do look a little bit goofy. And that's not just because of the CG. Like, I really hate their outfit designs, especially seeing them in motion. And
Outfit
I'm just like,
designs, I'll give you. I'm kind of okay with with their overall look, like their physical look.
No, they still kind of look scary to me, but I'd be willing to pass on that.
It's a 6-foot fucking turtle. That's gonna look creepy. Like, what are you gonna do?
Like,
Go
the
make
fact that
soup
they tried to
for all of
anthropomorphize their
Africa?
faces.
Yeah. Although
It's
finally
weird.
being able to see like a full Donnie kind of, I'm not feeling that so much. You know,
What do you mean?
full Donnie looks really strange.
Oh yeah, you're talking about with his like weird headgear and lab shit that he's like
Yeah.
always got on. It's like, how combat ready is that shit? Like,
I mean, he's like the radio guy
but-
in MASH.
and like I really like him, and I horribly butchered the pronunciation of his last name, William Fichtner,
Who
the
cares?
guy that plays Shredder. I've always liked him. He's a
Yeah.
great character actor, but the accent he's going for is a little weird. And maybe it's just the way they've got the sound mixed for the trailer, but I feel like it's that Volvo commercial or the ad the guy made for selling his Volvo, the
Oh,
like
that thing is
1991
so
orange
cool.
Volvo. Art. like it seems like that's the accent he's trying to go for.
Did
with
you
Shredder.
see
I'm
that
just like,
guy got like a couple grand for his Volvo? Off
yeah,
that
and I think
commercial?
the original asking price was like $1,100. So yeah,
Yeah.
good on you.
I mean, he got it, and that's why advertising is so fucking important with everything.
Art. But
Yeah.
it seems like that's the accent he's trying to go for with his Shredder, and it's kind of weird. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's just bad sound quality to the trailer. But fuck, man. Like this movie, I was hoping the second trailer would make me want to see it a little bit more than that teaser did. But
Yeah.
it so didn't.
All
It
I-
made me want to see it a little bit less.
All I want to see is the that fastball special. That's like it. That's where my entire head is at. I'm just like, ooh, that's gonna look cool.
That and it reminds me of like the sad trend in Hollywood where like I guess so many of the writers are older, so like they're not up on the hip new trends. So fucking you have damn like dubstep's not a thing anymore, really, like in the main culture.
Well, it's not. It's
I
not
mean,
like the
it's
new
still, it's
thing.
still there, but it's not like at its peak like it was like 4 years ago. And fucking like now every trailer has dubstep in it. It's like way to get to the game late, guys. Way to get to the game late. It's like, if anything, this makes me want to see the movies less. Like 3 years ago, maybe, but now it's like, ooh, dubstep.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, dubstep is relevant, but it's like there's newer stuff, which we're definitely getting into because some new rap stars have popped upon the scene, and as I deliberately kept you from watching this, it is time, sir. You have not heard of this new unsigned rapper called Stitches, correct?
No, not until today.
All right, we're going to pause so you can watch this, and after it is finished, I want to know your honest opinion on Stitches.
I kind of don't think you do, since the name of his video is "Brick in Yo Face."
Yes, Stitches brick in yo face. He is very quickly becoming viral online, and this is just we need to watch. It's time for you to watch Brick in Yo Face.
All right, I've got it paused, ready to go.
Now what you gonna do with it? Now what you gonna do with it? Better have my money when I come to collect. Pay up, pay up, pay up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
How about you describe Stitches really quick out of what you've seen? And
Okay, I actually had a very, very accurate, I think, thought. This guy, like, with how weird his facial structure looks, Google search Edward Furlong. He's the kid that played John Connor in Terminator 2. And to me, this guy looks like what Edward Furlong would have turned into in Terminator 2. Like, John Connor would have been this guy if, like, the Terminator hadn't come into his life. Because, you know, he's already hanging out being a little thug with his little dirt bike and stuff. And I have a feeling that this is the alternate timeline of John Connor. He would have gotten a tattoo on his face and started making really, really god-awful, terrible rap. You know, and it's rap like this that when politicians are like, rap music is nothing but drugs and bad culture, and it's like, well, fucking yeah. Like, if you listen to this, yeah.
I can't stop listening to it.
Like, this song is so bad that I would, if a senator right now was like, we need to make rap illegal, I would be like, yes. Because of this. Because of this one song. I'm willing to give up on everything for this. This is like the nuclear option. This is like if the fucking, like, Incredible Hulk is in the middle of a populated area and, like, your only other option is to, like, kill him but take out, like, 1 billion people. It's like, yes, please. Just do it. Because it could be much worse. Because he's probably going to make more videos, and then and he actually raps about having his tattoo on his face of an AK-47, to which I'm like,
okay. So as of right now, for anyone listening, the official Brick in Your Face video is up to 900,000 views. When I was informed about it, which was like Tuesday, it was only at 400,000 views. So, hands down, this thing has gone viral. It is on a 2-to-1 like to dislike scale. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand how terrible this song is, but for whatever reason, it pops in my head at least once a day, and I myself have viewed it at least 20 times. I can't. It is like an addiction of the worst thing possible. It's so hooky. And not to mention, I love Selling Blow. Holy
It's so awful. Like, his voice is fucking terrible, and, like, there's no structure to the song at all. It's just like, I'm gonna repeat, I put a brick in your face, now what you gonna do with it? And it's just like, he says the same thing fucking over and over again. And it's just like, why does your music video have a dude in a really cheap pinhead mask rubbing cocaine all over his face? Oh my god. I feel like my fucking brain cells are they're still committing suicide because I'm, like, devoting time talking about it. Oh my god.
Oh no. I after Stitches came in front of me, I went on the internet to find what the internet had. Surprisingly very little. It has grown little by little, day over day. This is what I have. Stitches is 18. Think about that for a minute. No, we mentioned he had an AK-47 tattooed on his face. That doesn't include the literal stitches that he has tattooed around his mouth. The dude is completely tatted up. Which, I mean, I have nothing against tattoos. You're pushing it with face. You can crawl them up the side of the neck. There are few people that can pull off face tattoos. His face tattoo is cool, but... dude.
Yeah, apparently, and it should come as no surprise that this guy's rapping about cocaine, because he apparently is working with Scott Storch, who, if you don't know who Scott Storch is, was like a keyboardist for the Roots, and he made like $70 million working with people like Beyonce, 50 Cent, Chris Brown, Dr. Dre, and, like, apparently blew all of his money on cocaine. So it should really, like, not come as a surprise.
Oh, that's how he's paying Stitches.
Yeah, apparently.
Because
And,
Stitches...
Actually, he's gonna come collect from Scott Storch and shoot him with his face AK-47.
Well, Stitches has admitted that he did sell coke for quite a while. He emancipated himself from...
Apparently, he still loves selling coke.
Yeah.
I love selling blow. Oh my god! Like the fact that is a line in a fucking rap song just makes me so angry that I want to hurt people.
Between that and bitch, I got extendos. Bitch, I got extendos. That shit's great. I don't care. It's such a great line that means absolutely nothing. And apparently, you didn't catch the fact that he had extendos, that he had to say it twice.
Yeah, apparently.
But it's.
Well, I couldn't think of something that rhymed with extendos except for Nintendos, and somehow those don't really fit with selling cocaine.
Well,
so we're just gonna say extendos twice.
There is a line in the song about where extendos came from in that area. He's like, while you were playing your Nintendo, I was selling coke. You actually made the connection. Congratulations, Chris.
I feel a little bit bad that I've made a connection to Stitches.
And did you also catch the fact that he has a second song that's out at the moment with a video?
Oh yeah. No, I saw that on YouTube, and at this point, like, I feel the diarrhea coming on.
Oh,
and so I don't really want to watch a second one.
It's auto-tuned to hell and back. Yeah. And I want you to also keep this in mind. Out of everything else, like, so he's been on his own since he was 14. He obviously sold coke to get by, and is now working on the rap game after he's been arrested 10 times. Oh, and he's 18. He has 2 kids. This motherfucker reproduced. Is that sinking in?
Yeah, I just, like, okay. So, we have... I'm trying to think how to phrase this without, like, actually offending someone or coming off as crass, because my views on the prison system are actually pretty liberal. Like, I think people that are in now for, like, non-violent shit, like selling pot, shouldn't be in. Mm-hmm. But when you tell me someone's been arrested 10 times, why is he not still in prison so I don't have to listen to his shitty music?
Juvie. That's why. He was probably never tried as an adult.
See, I'm sorry. Like, if your life of crime is getting off to a good start to where you've been arrested 10 times as a kid, I'm sorry. Just transfer your ass to jail. Like, go ahead and move them to jail. I don't want them out on the street if they've been arrested 10 times. They obviously haven't learned.
I gotta give Stitches enough that, like, this, there is an area where this belongs. And
in the trash.
Hear me out. If this was 10 years ago, dude, I'd probably be bumping the fuck out of this, because this guy should be on the Juggalo tour. He should. Like, he should be a part of Psychopathic Records.
No, because as much as I think, like, fucking Twisted and Insane Clown Posse are, like, complete trash garbage now because I'm not 10 anymore,
I think Twisted is better than ICP.
At least they tried to make their songs funny. Like, this isn't funny, or it doesn't critique pop culture. It doesn't do anything except spout a bunch of random catchphrases. It's like if Steve Urkel did a rap song, except, you know, he's like, "Did I do that? Did I do that?" Like, I mean, it's fucking, like, it's nothing but catchphrases strung together with his god-awful voice in a video that was shot. The video looks like it was shot by somebody who took his brick of cocaine, and that's what they did with it. They shot a fucking shitty video. No, this shit doesn't even belong on a tour of any kind. It's like completely hollow and talentless. As much as it hurts me to say that ICP has any kind of talent at all, like I thought that was as bad as music could get. But I was wrong, apparently. I was wrong. Thank you, Stitches, for introducing me to new lows.
Well, I would say that this has been the first thing that I've heard in a while that I would file under gangster rap.
Nah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even... No, I think gangster rappers would be... They would be ashamed to let this guy in their club.
Well, I'm not saying like the good gangster rappers. I'm just saying under what is defined as gangster rap, I think this is right there. I mean, instead of talking about big screen TVs, you just talked about how much he likes selling blow. I mean... a lot of blow.
I mean, just think how proud all of his like case workers and his public defenders are, the ones that made sure that he wasn't in prison, to hear him rapping about how much he loves selling blow.
Oh, I've listened to the majority of the album he's released. It's
which
about
brings me,
selling
which
blow.
Brings me, this brings me to my like kind of. It's one of those things where it's like I'm just joking, but no, really. My Jonathan Swift-esque idea for how to reform the prison system. Just bear with me. Rather than pay the cost of executing people or keeping them in prison for really extended amounts of time, because even though that's cheaper in like 99% of cases than it is to try to execute someone for a serious crime, it still costs a lot of money to keep people in the prison system. I think we should just convert over to beating people within an inch of their life and letting them recover, and then repeating that a number of times depending on how serious the crime was. I.e., like holding up a bank and like shooting somebody. You should just that's worth about four life beatings.
4 life beatings?
Yeah. You beat them within an inch of their life and then let them recover, and then you do it again like 3 more times. And then you just let them go, and then they remember that.
Or they're brain damaged.
I think most people, if they've been beat within an inch of their life to where it takes them like months to recover, and then you do it again, and then months to recover, then you do it again. You do it 4 times, I don't think someone's gonna fuck up again. I think they're good.
Yeah,
I think they're like, yeah, not.
Okay.
They're gonna go into a store and they're gonna be like, well, I could hold up this store, but there was that one time. I was beat within an inch of my life 4 different times for doing that the last time.
Well,
But no, if you put someone in a room, you give them meals, you let them go out and exercise, they're not going to learn anything. I mean, a few of them do, but by and large, most of them aren't going to learn anything. And then you're like, oh, he's recovered because life in here was so hard getting free meals. And then, you let them out, and then so many of them do it again. I mean, a lot of them don't. Don't get me wrong. I do realize that a lot of people are like, "No, I learned my lesson." But I think they learn it more effectively if you beat them within an inch of their life.
Well, why don't we just stick them all on an island? That's kind of what Australia.
Well, they
was.
tried that. That's what they did with Australia.
I mean, look at.
Then they started wanting rights and wanting their own like governance, and then you ended up with a really cool continent. So I guess maybe that's not a bad.
Yeah, exactly. Just stick them on the other half of Australia that will kill you. Like there's 10% of Australia that won't kill you as badly, and then there's the rest of Australia which is built to kill you. So if you can survive that,
the wildlife there has evolved to kill you. Like their mammals there are poisonous. It's like, fuck, I don't want to live there. No.
What's the consequences for my crime? Survive.
That's like a Tumblr or some shit I found one time with Katie that it was like talking about all the different wildlife in Australia that will kill you. And it's like by people that live there, so they're like, "Oh, have you heard about this animal?" It's like, "Oh, fuck, you guys are making me never want to go to Australia." But no, fucking no, that reminds me of another comedian who I forget, was it George Carlin? that said that we should just like convert like Utah or some shit into our prison and put everybody there, and then you build into your death penalty and your parole system. You only have one gate, one way out. It's like a 5-foot wide door, and you open it for like 10 minutes one day a year, and then you have your parole and your death penalty because like you let a few people out, but then like hundreds of them get trampled to death trying to escape.
Yeah. Well, and make sure like it's in the middle of a desert. So if you can survive the desert, you're good.
But like okay, you know the clip in Happy Gilmore when he gives his like answer to the question, and then the guy's like, "No, dude, that's wrong," and we're all dumber for having heard it. Like that's how I feel about watching that video you just made me watch.
Well, male is
we're all dumber for having watched
it. Brick in your face. I will give the credit of it's got a really catchy hook on it. Like it's so simple. What you gonna do with it? It's so irritating that it's stuck in my head. Like, and it won't go away.
How did you discover this? Were you, like, listening to Pandora and this actually came up?
No. Someone shot me a video, and they're like, have you heard of Stitches? And I was
God.
like, no. And they're like, here you go. And because of how I internets, like, I got the video, I watched it, I couldn't stop watching it, and by the end of it, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I had to go hunt. And I went hunting. I went hunting for 2 hours and found everything that I could. A couple of days later, I found out a radio station in Miami finally was able to get a phone interview with him. And he's very evasive on, like, well, what happened in your past? He's like, I don't want to talk about my past. Shit was bad. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like, at least the dude very possibly is not made. Like, someone didn't make him to be this outrageous. Like, the outrageousness was there, and then someone gave him a mic and said, here's really simple lyrics. And he's like, oh, cool. So he's got kind of all of the right... Not one part of me at the end of that, when I first watched that video, says, that's bullshit. Like, I looked at it as extreme as it is, as extreme as Stitches is, not as a character, but as a person, and what that song is actually about. I'm just like, no, I'd buy it. Like, this guy really exists. And hands down, I stand by. If that song was not about selling cocaine and was about putting a brick in someone's face, it'd be 10 times better.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. Because sometimes you just need a violent song to
But West, if he's not talking about cocaine, you lose the great line about how
I
much
love
he
selling
loves selling
blow.
Holy
shit.
God.
It's so
Fuck
good.
life, man. It's just like so many things pop into my mind as like built-in internet meme reactions to this shit. Like the fucking picture of Farnsworth off Futurama. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I am certain by now. Actually, I'm Googling this right now. That Stitches has a meme.
Oh God.
I mean,
yeah, no, I imagine it's just a picture of him, and it's like people are gonna just put insert whatever here. Now, what you gonna do with it? I put a dick in your face. Now, what you gonna do with it?
Actually,
or they'll like they'll make a Lego version of him. I put a brick in your face. Oh God, just fuck man, fuck
dude,
the internet.
That's brilliant. Actually, I need to go make that meme.
No,
Yeah.
God damn it, no! I didn't mean to create it. No.
A Lego brick.
So when the apocalypse breaks out because of this, they'll be able to take this recorded conversation and be like, you! Like, no, I didn't mean to. It started as an innocent joke.
But that makes so much sense. To have a Lego brick and just, I put that brick in your face.
Actually, like when the Lego movie comes out, they could use that as advertising for like now on DVD. Everything is awesome. Now what you gonna do with it? Oh shit. Actually, you know what? No, like it actually does work as a meme. It's so terrible that it's like it's a built-in meme. God damn it.
Darkness, what you gonna do about it?
Oh, fuck, man.
That's so good. Everything is awesome. I put that book in your face. Oh, Jesus. So, you're welcome. That will be stuck in your head, like, later today. I guarantee you're going to be standing around at, like, 4 o'clock, and you're going to be like, what you going to do with it? What the? Fuck you, West. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you, too, and it wakes my ass up. It'll be like, dialing your phone.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's going to be one of those that you're going to be standing there in, like, the kitchen, and you're just going to be like, God damn it. And Kate's going to come over, and she's going to be like, what? And you're going to be like, you don't want to know. And because you said it like that, she's going to be like, no, I want to know. It's this song that Wes pointed me at. And she's going to push, and you're going to be like, okay, I warned you. And you're going to hit play, and she's going to watch the entire thing because it's mesmerizing. You're just
it's
like,
the
this
musical
is really
equivalent
happening.
of 2 girls, 1 cup. It's like, no, I promise you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. And then finally they're going to break you down and you're going to show up. They're going to be like, God damn it, you're right. I didn't want to see it. No.
Oh, so I will definitely make sure that there's a link for this. I'm sorry to contribute to all the views he doesn't need, but dude, it's one of those that, like, he is going to hit Billboard #1 as an unsigned artist because it's like, have you seen this yet? And everybody's reaction, like, I'm following the dude on Twitter at the moment because there's 2 things. It's either, dude, this is the best rap song I've ever heard, and I honestly can't tell if it's sarcasm because it's Twitter, or it's thanks for ruining the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the latter there.
Oh, so you're welcome. I'm so happy I was able to ruin your Sunday.
Yeah. No, there's still time in the day. It could either become much worse and hopefully much better, because I'm thinking Brick in Your Face is the low point.
What would be much
of my day?
What would be much worse than Brick in Your Face? Oh, that's right, Mail. You want to see worse? Watch Mail. Not nearly as catchy, but oh man, that thing is so auto-tuned.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a morbid, curious part of me that. Morbidly curious, I suppose.
All you need
actually does want to watch that, but then I'm like, well, no. I have a feeling that I just forgot, like, why Theodore Roosevelt was an important president, because that information got erased by Brick in Your Face. So I don't want to forget my birthday by watching Mail. If it's that bad, I might forget the day I was born.
There are 2 brilliant lines within Mail. The first one is, "This is drug dealing music," and the other one is, hold on, let me see if I can remember this correctly. If you wear a badge, you a bitch, bro. Yeah.
See, here's the thing I don't get. If you're gonna, like, come from a drug background and tell people, like, how awful the life was, and you're gonna try to, like, escape by making music, why are you gonna make music that glorifies the shit that you say is awful?
Oh,
like,
no.
I don't...
He never said anything about it being awful. He just said he doesn't do it anymore. Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically his music tells a different story. He's talking about how much he loves selling blow.
Well, yeah, obviously.
He's speaking in the present tense. I mean, then again, it could just be that he's an elaborate ruse, and that his like entire drug persona doesn't like even exist, and that this Scott Storch guy went out and found like the scariest looking dude ever, and was just like, "Hey, you look like you could sell some really shitty gangster rap on YouTube."
Well, isn't that kind of what happened with L.A. acting? Like, they would hold up a role, certain gangsters would show up. That's why they keep showing up in the same movies. Guys tatted to the hilt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's our culture of stereotypes, unfortunately, but I don't get it. And then people will tell me, "No, it's just not your culture, man." And I'm like, whose culture? That's no one's culture, or it shouldn't be anyone's culture.
It kind of is your culture because we grew up in that.
I didn't grow up going to collect cocaine money.
Yeah, I know, but we grew up around everyone who did.
Well,
think about that for a minute.
Still, like, most people that do that don't think of it as, man, this is the best job on earth. I'm gonna write a song about it and have a dude in a rubber pinhead mask in the video. I mean, that's not most people's reaction. It's kind of like, while I'm sure there are many prostitutes who enjoy their work, a lot of them don't do it because they like it. They do it because it's a means to an end. And I don't see very many of them picking up a ukulele and singing some nice hipster music about it. Like, I just don't. It's not, to me, I don't feel like this song is an appropriate response to the experiences of this fellow's life.
Lies.
I feel like he took the exact wrong message out of his experience. Selling blow. And it's just like, oh God.
The part that surprises me is like,
it's like when it's one of those moments where like you feel like someone's missed the point entirely. Like when I talk to well, I don't know if I should use their names on the show, but
let's call them
some friends of ours who lived in Greenville. They're a couple, and they had finished watching Lost before me, and they told me not to finish watching Lost.
How about we refer to them as Dick and Jane?
Yeah, we'll call them Dick and Jane. And they told me not to finish watching Lost because the end was quote unquote the most garbage, like, Christian propaganda ever. And then I watched Lost, and I got to the end, and I'm like, no? Huh? Like, how did you get that out of this ending? Like, did we watch the same thing? Because it's just like, I think you guys missed the point. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Well, go on. I know nothing about this story. Like, have you talked to them about this? Like, what did they... Okay, so Christian propaganda, do you...
Well, no, because Jane in air quotes, is convinced of her own, like, intellectual and cultural superiority anytime you, like, talk to her, which is part of the reason that most people stopped liking hanging around Dick as much when he started dating her.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, no, it just... I didn't even bother, like, talking to them about it after I watched it. Because she's just utterly convinced that she was right. And I'm like, oh, okay, you took a history of religions class one time, so that means you're qualified to talk about this.
Well, I mean, and speaking of Lost, the only thing that I've heard of is... I've never watched the ending, but the ending's a little lackluster, or you're unfulfilled, and I think that just happens when something's either A, gone on too long, or something was built up so much, and the answer is extremely simple, and people are like, that's not what I wanted, and it's like, well, that's the answer.
Well, yeah, and that's how I felt when I watched it. I actually really enjoyed it, because they didn't complicate it. At the end, it's really a simple... Okay, this is a spoiler, but it's not much of a
Lost.
spoiler because if you haven't watched Lost by now, you're either not gonna watch it or fucking fuck you.
Or fucking fuck
but
you.
but the end of Lost, basically you find out both. It's no longer, and like I feel like it's kind of a needless compromise on the whole debate of like science, because they set it up as kind of a debate between like science and religion.
Okay.
They set that as like a really like in the background thematic framework for the show. Although I think they kind of abandoned that, so at the end, like it doesn't feel like a complete betrayal to have it be both.
Right.
Kind of. The island was real.
Yep.
Like the shit that happened there was real, but they are also all dead by the end of the show. And at the end, like all the characters like meet back up. They're in this like kind of purgatory false life. It's like an alternate reality where they made it off the island and they're all like getting along, or they never like went to the island actually. And there's like they start realizing, hey, this isn't our life. Like Charlie, I think, is the first one to like realize that it's like, wait a minute, this isn't reality. And so like it
that basically sounds like how they explained out that the fat guy never got skinny on an island where he couldn't eat.
Well, they don't really, because he was on an island, and
Yeah.
for real, and he didn't lose weight. They never really come up with an explanation for that.
Well, if he's
Not
dead,
really.
then that's how.
Well, no, because all the stuff you see on the island, them on the island, that happened. Like the weird fucking smoke monster was real. The shit that happened on the island was real. They just happened to all die eventually, like at different times. Like Hugo probably lived for like God knows, like if because he takes over. Jacob is the good guy on the island. You end up finding out he's basically God, and the black smoke is the devil, more or less, like in really simplified terms. He basically takes up Jacob's role after Jack, and because of that, like you could assume that he could theoretically live for like hundreds of years. So
That's
I mean,
strange.
like he was probably the last one to actually die, but in the meantime, like while they're waiting for everybody to die, they're in this like purgatory false life where they're happy. Like Jack has a son, but as soon as like Desmond realizes through Charlie that shit's not right, he starts pairing people up, and as soon as people start pairing up with people that they had like loved on the island, like Saeed and what's her face that Maggie Grace played that died in season 1. Like when they start pairing up, they realize that they're in a fake life, and they get everybody together at the end. And of course, Jack is like he's the most resistant because he's the logical one, so he doesn't believe it. But when they get all together at the end, that it's this really beautiful notion that they had to all get back together as a group because they all had such an impact on each other in real life that was the only way they could move on. And that's not a Christian idea. That's actually quite the opposite. That's from other world cultures. The idea that of the clearing, where your family, your friends, they wait for you in the clearing when you die, and then you all go on together.
Oh,
like,
that's
not a
kept showing
Christian
back up.
thing.
Yeah, that's just in general.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of different cultures. There were like I think there are
Definitely.
Native American cultures that believe that, and
I mean, old Roman cultures, Greek. If you want to see that in another culture, go watch Gladiator.
but and then like.
God, I missed that movie. I need to
But
watch that.
but and there's even a shot because he goes into, they're all meeting at the church, and it's for his dad, like his dad's body's there. Is how he gets like taken to the church, but his dad's alive. And while his dad's talking to them, there's even a shot of the stained glass window of the church, and the stained glass window has like 4 or 5 different holy symbols in it. So how someone could watch that ending and be like, it's nothing but Judeo-Christian garbage, and I'm like, oh, okay, except not really. It's actually kind of this beautiful idea, or to me, it's a beautiful idea that I like their interpretation of the afterlife. To me, it's a much nicer notion that maybe there are elements of everything, and that maybe the connections you have in life are important when you pass on. Like I liked that ending. I thought it was a satisfying ending. I thought they didn't need to explain the island to me. They didn't need to say how it functioned. Just that it was this place that was important. That it had, it was kind of this source of like power on the planet. But yeah, no, I really like the last season, because the last season it kind of swaps back and forth between the island and like the fake purgatory thing that they're in. And in the fake purgatory thing, like, Desmond's a Banff, and Desmond was always like one of my favorite characters, because he's the guy that's like a fucking isolated point in space and time, more or less as a result of him like going down. I don't know if you watched enough of Lost to like the part where the fucking bunker they're in, with the little beepy down clock, the countdown clock that has to be reset.
Yeah.
Like, they decide not to reset it, and shit's gonna like explode.
Yeah,
and
that's about the time I stopped watching.
Yeah, he goes down there to like basically like self-destruct, to like override it with the special key thing that he has, and like it blows him up.
Oh, cool.
But as a result of that, it basically means he's like a time traveler almost. He ends up being one of my favorite characters. Like in season 3 or 4? The season where Charlie dies. Like, basically he gets these visions of Charlie dying, and like he spends like God knows how many episodes trying to, like, he'll be like, I'm just gonna put this metal pole here, and it's like, what are you doing, Desmond? And then later like lightning strikes, but it hits the pole instead of Charlie.
Oh, right.
He gets these. He's like Charlie's future for some reason.
I think that's season 2. When all that
season 2, is it that early? I could have sworn Charlie made it through 2 seasons.
Well, wait, which one's Charlie?
Charlie's Mary from Lord of the Rings.
Hold on.
He's the guy that was in the band that was a druggie.
Lost. Charlie. I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah. I think that was season 2, because I remember some of that stuff, and season 2 is when I stopped watching. I got like halfway through season 2, or maybe 3/4 of the way through, and at some point, like, I checked out. I was like, I'm done with this. This is boring. And from what I understand, like, if you got through season 2, like, the show picks back up, because I think it was season 2 that wasn't supposed to be a part of it. I think. I
don't know. Like, I think.
Well, I know Lost was supposed to be initially 4
I
seasons.
think the season with the time travel where they like go back to the 70s is probably the part that wasn't an original chunk of the outlined story. That to me is the part that sticks out the most anyway.
Yeah.
So if there was another that, and that's like season 4, I think. But I mean, if there was another chunk that wasn't supposed to be in there, they did a much better job of making that fit than they did with the time travel.
Oh, I remember after season 1, it got such ridiculously high reviews. Like, the network was like, "No, you're gonna do like X amount of seasons with this," and he was like, "No, I'm not." And the compromise was like, "Okay, at least make it 1 more season long," and they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll put some stuff in." And from what I understand, a lot of that stuff was put in season 2, but
well, I don't know. Like, Lost gets critiqued for like basically people accuse it of sloppy storytelling because they don't tie up all their loose ends, because that's what. If you take a class in writing, that's what they tell you to do. Like, you never leave a loose end untied. But I think it's unique, and whether or not it was intentional, whether or not they were just like, well, fuck it, we don't have time to answer that question, or what. I think it's unique because it mirrors life.
Firefly. That is my response. Firefly had so many things unanswered, and even after they answered a lot of them with the Serenity movie, there was still a ridiculous amount of answers
Well, yeah, but with Firefly and Serenity, that's not done by choice. That's done out of necessity.
Well,
they got canceled, so they didn't even get to finish their first season.
Well, they didn't even they weren't even able to answer them all in the movie, because, like, the Hands of Blue, you completely understand that they have something to do with what was being done to
River.
To River.
Yeah.
And
I think they do, like, they answer some important questions. They answer, like, what exactly was done to River, more or less. Also
what are Reavers?
Answer what was driving her crazy.
Yeah. What are Reavers?
And they answer, like, what Reavers are.
Yeah, but they didn't answer anything about Shepard. Which was the one character that no one knew.
They don't, but they do. Like, he's totally an operative. Like, based on the conversations that they have and the shit that happened in the show, you get the sense that he was he was the bad guy, like that's in the movie, the one that's going around and killing everything, the operative, because he doesn't have a name as far as I know in the movie. He's just called the operative. But
did you read the comic?
No,
do you want to know?
It's on my
the
list,
answer?
but
do you want to know? Do you want to know? I've read it. I own it. Do you want to know what Shepard was? According to
sure.
That. Okay. Shepard was a part of the Alliance originally. He was placed in or not the Alliance. A part of the Browncoats initially. He was placed in the Alliance as a basically a sleeper to build himself all the way up to, like, the highest position you can possibly get, and basically fumble a massive attack. That was his job, and as a Browncoat, which is exactly what he did. He brought it all the way up, and was able to fumble this massive mission without it looking like it was deliberate. It was him. Like, when he got put in, they got into this battle, and he fumbled this massive thing. Hundreds of thousands of Alliance died and stuff like that, and he didn't want that blood on his hands, so he was honorably discharged, or he just left. I can't remember. I don't have the book on hand at the moment. But he just was like, I'm done. And then he went and became a shepherd to make it look like he was covering up his sins. Like, everything was a ploy, except for him being a Browncoat.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a bad way to take the character, honestly. Like, making him, he wasn't really Alliance. He was a Browncoat that infiltrated the Alliance and pretended to be. Like, I feel like that's buying the character back. I feel like they're like, well, he died, so we have to make him a really good guy. We can't have, like, anything bad in his past. And I think that's awful, because, like, I feel like as part of how his character is treated in the movie and in the show, like, you want him to have been the Alliance. You want him to have been a bad guy, because that would explain, like, why he's become a preacher. Like, to make up for it, because he realized the Alliance was awful. And now it just feels like war is bad. I'm gonna be a preacher man. Even though I wasn't necessarily on the wrong side. It just, I don't know. I feel like that cheapens the character a lot.
From what I
don't like that.
He in general felt bad because he was the single cause of killing hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, but still, they really do build him up in the movie and in the show to basically be what the operative is in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like he's an X one of those. And I mean, technically, I guess he still is. He was like a mole operative, like for the Independents, but
yeah,
I don't know. But no, back to, like, tidy up the rest of my thoughts. Tidy up the rest of my thoughts on Lost. Like, I think, even if it wasn't intentional, I think it's a good way to tell a story is to leave things unanswered. Because that's life. You don't get an answer to every question. Sorry. Well, sometimes a bad guy wins. Sometimes a good guy dies. Like, that's how life works, and it's infinitely tiring to me that 99.9% of movies have to follow this. Well, bad shit happens, but the good guy wins, and that I think that's why Game of Thrones is doing so well. I think because it's an exercise in like, I mean, it's not historic. B, it's not even like contemporary. It doesn't even take place in our timeline, but there's still like it's analogous to real life in that like really bad shit happens to good people. It's like really awful shit. Hopefully not so awful that you go to a wedding and get murdered by someone who invited you there. They just like lock the doors and kill you and your whole family. Like nothing that bad, but
although that happens.
Yeah, sorry, spoilers. Fucking again, if you've survived this long without finding out about the red wedding, I want to know where your rock is so I can go hide under it.
The red wedding happened and like the world knew. Everyone was like, "Holy shit!"
But yeah, like no, and I think that's part of why Game of Thrones is so popular is because it's not this tidied up bullshit. Well, sometimes you don't find out the answer to your question before an axe gets buried in your face. I mean,
I think it has to also do with like it. Okay, let's look at very popular shows that have happened recently, or within the past couple of years. So Lost on paper, any studio exec would have said like, no, that show won't work, and it worked. And then Fringe happened, and Lost. I want to say True Blood, but I really don't feel Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead. All of these shows have one thing in common. It is not treating its viewers with kid gloves. It is treating us like the adults that we actually are.
Well, and another thing, and this is what Lost does, is it treats its characters like characters. It doesn't treat them like archetypes. There's not, and that's not to say that the characters in Lost aren't archetypes. It just doesn't treat them like that. It's not the hero in these stories in Game of Thrones, in Lost. They do bad things. They make bad choices, but they end up being good guys. Or people, and this is more true of Game of Thrones, but there are some characters in Lost that this happens to, a few. They start off and you think they're just really awful, like, characters. You don't like them. They're obviously the villain or close to the villain. But then, like, a season later, you're like, oh, maybe not. Mm-hmm. I kind of like this guy now. They did that with Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones. Like, he starts off and you're just, like, morally opposed to his very existence. But, like, by this season, his character's made an arc. And I think one of the first shows I remember really doing that, or at least doing it pretty well, was the OC back in the day. Like, as cheesy as people think that show is, it did a really good job with its characters. Great. There are seasons where, like, characters that you loved, like, you start to hate them a little bit, and then characters that you hated, you're like, the character's kind of a bamf.
Yeah. What was his name? Luke. Yeah, Luke. Luke was the biggest guy who made an adjustment, because like in season 1 he's playing that big preppy guy that you want to get his ass kicked because he's picking on the dude that we're following, who, like, in the first episode you feel nothing but the feels for Ryan. Like, Ryan has been through some shit in general. Like, Ryan just went through the worst beyond the worst on the worst things in life. And this guy is just there to keep pummeling him down. Ryan's done nothing to this guy. Nothing. Other than the fact, like, dude's girl's getting a little interested in him, and he can't do anything about that. The girl's pretty, and a pretty girl, I mean, you want to stick your dick in, which he winds up doing several times before she dies. But aside from that, like, and then Luke's life goes on, and then shit happens to Luke, and he's like, help, and Ryan's like, it's okay, man, I kicked your ass, now I'll help you out. And you're just like, but Luke was awesome. It is Luke, right? Man, I feel like a total idiot.
I think his name is Luke. But yeah, no, and that's like, it's because the OC treated its characters like people. they have flaws. Like, and I'm not going to defend bullying because I think bullying is awful. Like, if you watch the awesome documentary Bully, it's just like, it makes you so mad that you want to like end the world. But bullies,
Yeah, it was Luke.
a lot of the times bullies, they do what they do because they have issues going on. Like, they have things going on, and it's refreshing to see shows, and books that they're based on treat the bad guys as though they're characters too, and that's something that doesn't. Sometimes shows will do it with the good guys, but then the bad guys are completely two-dimensional, and so like you just get a feeling this guy's always been bad, and that's not the case with like anybody. Like, no one's born bad. They just,
well, some people
it
are.
happens.
But I think one of the reasons, like, I don't think there was really there was a few episodes where there was an overall bad guy, but I think the in general bad guy in all of the OC was Life. Life was the bad guy. Like, everything bad that happened was because of Life.
That's actually probably a little more profound than you meant it to be, but yeah. I think Life is the bad guy in the OC, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, because like there's like all of the epic stories, like with the Ryan character and what builds that character, his life put him into all of those situations, and life just happened. Like in the opening sequence where he's taken out of jail for boosting cars. Yeah, he fucked up, but he goes home. His parents yell at him. He leaves for the day, and then when he gets back, his parents are gone. House is empty. He has nowhere to go. And that happens in the first, 15 minutes of that show.
And that ultimately is why the OC is a cool show, because it shows these characters, triumph over life. It shows the mom, I forget her name, Seth's mom.
Yeah.
It shows her, overcome the alcohol. It shows Ryan overcome his difficult background.
And it gives her a reason to have been an alcoholic. It's one of those things, it's happening in the background, and then they made it a big story arc, so they just brought it forward. They're like, by the way, you drink a lot. And you never really realize it until they pointed it out, and you go back and watch the episodes, and, she's got a glass of wine. Every
she
scene.
really did drink a lot.
So they just pushed that a little bit, and it exacerbated it to a point where she had to go to rehab. And then Marissa dying, this epic love story of Ryan's gonna get the girl, and their love is so strong, and they go through this crazy guy who tries to kill himself over this girl because he's got mental issues and all this other shit. And she dies. She dies, not even at the end of the entire show. She dies, in season 3, so he's got to go through that crap.
Yeah, and that to me was actually kind of satisfying, for one thing, because it's realistic. I mean, that happens. And B, by that point, Marissa's just done so many, things, you just don't even, care about her anymore. You're just please, can she die and, Ryan find someone else?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I think part of that might have been and this is rumor, but I think she was kind of hard to work with as an actress, so Misha Barton, so I think that's part of the reason. But yeah, no, fucking yeah. But no, that reminds me of when you think back to it, most of the bad guys, the major bad guys,
Oliver was the biggest bad guy.
They go one of two ways. Either a bad guy is super memorable because they're just that evil. They do something so evil that you're like, man, that's just fucked up. Or, and in my case, these are the more interesting from my point of view. They're the ones that aren't convinced they're bad guys. They think what they're doing is right, and they have a really interesting backstory.
Well, I think that's part of Oliver, besides Life in the OC being the main bad guy, Oliver was the most defined bad guy in that entire story. Even
yeah, but even he he's only there for a half a season. And,
well, yeah, but when he shows up, he takes the role of I am the bad guy. and he is a character that you're
I don't know that I agree with that. Everything he does is bad, but like you do get the feeling that it's part of like he has some problems.
Well, right.
So it's not. He's a bad guy because he has problems. He's not a bad guy just because he's like, I'm gonna be a dick.
It defaults to life again, but he is just a major player in the like I'm a bad guy sort of thing, and he is. In general, he is the person I would, if you wanted to define a villain within the story at some given point, I would point to him. Because even the grandfather guy, he's a dick, but he's not a bad guy. Like, he's just a dick. And Marissa's dad, for, like, swindling all those people out of money, he is just a dick. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's just a dick. Yet again, life. Life allowed all of these catalysts to kind of form because, like, Marissa's dad wants to maintain that lifestyle of them being rich and having a ridiculous amount of money, so of course he stole from his overly wealthy clients because he wanted to continue giving them their whatevers, you know? And that just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. But Oliver, as an overall, he had mental issues, but he got focused, and he wanted this one person, so that led him to act a particular way. Because of his obsessive personality, he became a villain to the group that we were following. And he basically, like, Ryan's the good guy, Oliver's the bad guy. You had good versus evil in that point. And it was and the reward was Marissa. So I would define him under villain. But he only is there for like half a season, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the antagonist of that chunk of the story. But I'm still like reticent to actually call him a bad guy. I mean, the things he does are bad, but like they do give you the hint that like he probably has. Well,
they flat out said it. But he's the only one out of like all of the bad guys that something bad didn't happen to him. He just was there, they took care of him, and it was done. Everyone else, like Luke was the antagonist for a while, and he winds up turning and becoming part of the squad. Some of the people Summer was kind of like this strange antagonist that Seth was obsessed with, and she winds up turning around and becoming part of the squad. Like I said, Marissa's dad, the grandfather, there's all these characters that wind up turning at some point, but Oliver was the only one that showed up, caused problems, and they just removed. Oh, and the guy that wound up killing Marissa. Like, he didn't turn code either. I forget who that was.
Yeah, I've forgot. Like, because I've seen season 1 and 2 so many damn times, like, I remember those really well, but I don't remember season 3 and 4 at all, because I only watched through those, like, once.
Yeah, and they weren't written nearly as well as 1 and 2.
But yeah, no, and that's, like, with the villains that have interesting backstories, I'm kind of excited to play Borderlands pre-sequel to see like how much information you get on Jack, because supposedly that's what the story's supposed to explain, is like why Jack thinks he's the hero. Yeah. And like maybe get some interesting backstory on him, because there's the one quest line, getting to know Jack, that you do in Borderlands 2, where you pick up the echo recorders and you get some like tiny tidbits, but they only lead to like more questions. Like where is Angel's mom? Because she's not dead. They just say that she disappeared or like left, went away. Was her mom a siren? Like you don't know. Like, and if you at the end of the game, like the first time you fight the warrior in any of the playthroughs, because if you go back to refight him, Jack's not there. But you know, when you first go there in story mode, you have to fight Jack first. Yeah. Well, at the end, you know how it gives you're supposed to shoot Jack once you kill the warrior. Yeah. If you don't shoot him, Lilith kills him, and it knocks his face mask off.
Oh, okay.
and you can see his face. It has this like vault symbol scar on it, and his like eyes are all like one of his eyes is really fucked up where the vault symbol like cuts through it.
Oh,
Like something burned it into his face, and you're like, did Angel do that, or did?
gotcha.
Because there are all those times like you don't believe him during the quests, like where after he captures Lilith and has killed Roland, like you're going to the info
crazy.
stockade, and he's like, you didn't see what she did to her mother, like, and just like,
Okay.
and you don't believe him because he's the bad guy, but then like you find the echo recordings like, yeah, her mother before she went away, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a story here. So I'm kind of excited for the pre-sequel because you get to follow him around. You don't get to play him. You get to play Wilhelm.
Yeah.
You get to play the sheriff of Lynchwood, basically Nisha the Lawbringer.
Yeah.
You get to play Athena, who showed up in General Knox first.
Yeah.
And you get to play hopefully the same Claptrap that's still alive in Borderlands 2, the last Claptrap, but
Well, when that game comes out, I'm pretty sure both of us will buy it and we'll review it when that happens. As of right now, I think it's a good time to say goodbye. And until next time.
Yep. .com,
Hold
which
on.
will also
Hold on. I wasn't recording yet.
God damn you, West.
You were listening to the Nerd Method podcast with West,
Chris,
and Chris.
Thank you for listening. If you want to get in contact with us, you can find us at the Nerd. Oh fuck!
Super professional.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
You can find us at thenerdmethod.com, which is our also blog site, but it will have our social media as well: Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+. So like us, subscribe, share our stuff. We appreciate it.
And if you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdmethodpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks very much for listening.